Welcome, everybody, to another Raw recap here on the Pro Wrestling Sheet. I'm your host, John Rocha, joined as always by the editor-in-chief and CEO of Pro Wrestling Sheet. That's Ryan Satin over there. Ryan, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking, John Rocha. So, tiny bit of an update here for you guys on the schedules. I have been lagging. I apologize, but there's been a bunch of variables that have factored into it. So I will have an update very soon. There might be a tiny bit of changes on the schedule factor, but I will know very, very soon how I'm going to be able to handle everything here. So I'm looking forward to getting into that. But let's get into Raw. It's the Raw recap, so we probably shouldn't bore everyone with our thoughts on everything else.
A lot of things to get into. A lot of things going on in your world. Give them a little bit of time, a little bit of patience. Going to figure it all out. I think you'll like some of the changes. Coming down the road, and you'll get excited for them. But let's jump into this thing. Raw here. Paige starts out Raw. We hadn't seen Paige. She's had that surgery. If you follow her on social media, certain Ryan has interviewed her on Pro Wrestling Sheet. I had a chance to sit in with her on Collider Live, which was a blast. What an incredibly awesome woman and a great story. And if you haven't seen Fighting with My Family yet, for God's sakes, watch that movie. That is her life story. Of course, based on true events, but still a fantastic watch. All right, anyway, she comes out with the Kabuki Warriors. Ryan, who didn't see this twist coming as soon as she walked out with the Kabuki Warriors? They're heels now. When they left, she was face, they were face. So when they come out and she's introducing, trying to kiss their butts, Asuka grabs the mic from her, speaks in Japanese, then Paige tries to take the mic back, then Kairi Sane takes it, and it becomes a whole struggle, then the green mist in the face. So, thoughts on all this until we get to Becky Lynch, obviously.
Like you said, it was clearly coming. Yeah. When you first saw her come out, it was like, this is probably going to end with them turning on Paige.
Yeah, because she wasn't healing it up. She was very face.
Yeah, she was very much face, doing her face thing and acting as if nothing had really changed the past couple weeks. Or also kind of acting like she had been involved in their title win somehow, almost.
Yes.
Like her. And if I were Asuka and Kairi Sane, I'd be a little annoyed too, considering they had to not take her advice. They had to do the opposite of her advice to get what they wanted. So I thought it made sense, and I liked them kind of. I like when they don't forget what's happened in the weeks or months prior. That I felt like this whole heel turn, that was the kind of hanging thread of like, well, whatever happened to Paige? Like, you're just gonna stop hanging out with Paige just because you guys have decided you're gonna speak Japanese now on TV, which I'm cool with. I love it. Yeah. I just like that they kind of ended that thing there a little bit to kind of solidify the heel turn. I also like because Paige can't take bumps anymore.
Yeah, right.
That they were able to kind of do something to give it, I guess not physicality, but to give it some sort of wrestlery turn thing,
certainly a fear that they were going to attack her, a 2-on-1 type of vibe. She rolled out of the ring. She had her face covered in the green mist. She almost looked like the Wicked Witch of the East or West, whichever one it is on Wizard of Oz. So I thought that was a possible costume choice. I thought it was something put in her mind. But just before she's about to get beat up by Kairi Sane and by Asuka, Becky comes out. We hear her music. They go at it, and it leads into the match with Kairi Sane. I want to admit something to you, and this has struck me as I was watching it last night. And I don't know, maybe this is something that other fans are starting to feel. I'm starting to feel a little bit over Becky. I'm starting to feel a little bit over Becky, and I don't know what it is. So it may just be a fleeting thing. But the last couple of weeks, I've started to feel this weird vibe, like they keep putting her in these positions and in these situations that I don't know. I'm starting to feel like that Seth Rollins thing. Like, where's the uniqueness, the magic of it all? And it feels like, oh, just get Becky to run out there. Oh, just get Becky to do this. And so I'm wondering about it, how it's working out. I wonder if other fans feel the same way, or if it's just me.
I've seen other people with similar sentiments
as really?
you. Yeah. I know one of my friends, a couple of friends have texted me like, I'm not, the booking of Becky hasn't been as good as it was before.
Maybe that's what it is, the booking.
I think part of it is Becky is best when she's firing shots at people.
Yeah.
And I feel like they haven't had her doing that as much the past couple weeks. I loved when she was doing the backstage promos. I liked the whole Sasha feud. But it has seemingly been like they've been looking for something for her to do the past couple weeks. But also there was the draft. There was like almost like a reboot of both brands. It feels like to a certain degree. So I don't hate it. I thought the match against Kairi Sane was a good match.
Yeah.
I thought they both did a really good job of solidifying Kairi as a heel.
Very good match.
Lots of her, healing it up during the match. And lots of Becky showing her dominance. And, as much as Kairi was like trying to pull off fancy things, Becky was always 2 steps ahead of her, it felt like. I liked all that. So yeah, I thought that was good. I thought it was a fun match. I thought and they got, I think it was like 15 minutes, something like that.
It was a way longer match than I anticipated. Having Asuka involved on the outside was great as well, and having them go back and forth, and then having Kairi get some good shots on Becky and some nice reversals that you thought possibly she could eke out a surprise win, I thought was great too. And having Kairi kick out of what looked to be a couple of times that Becky had her dead to rights, I think pushes Kairi Sane as well as a kind of a tougher opponent than you would think. And she's taken to the heel thing so well.
Especially considering how wholesome she is.
Yeah, of course.
She was like the most wholesome character in WWE, and she, they turned her white gear to black gear, and now she's just angry all the time. And her evil laugh when she did in that promo when she took the mic and she just did like that cliche evil laugh. I loved it. She's been a great heel so far, which I never would have expected to say a few weeks ago if you told me that Kairi Sane was going to be a heel that I was into.
Yeah, it's a good balance too for her type. Asuka's more the veteran heel, and Kairi is more like the crazy heel, dancing, running around, doing all the crazy stuff. So it's a good balance when you got them both dialed in.
It's not the same. It's almost like a Joker Harley Quinn vibe.
That's a great point. Absolutely great point. Do you think Becky and Asuka, this is now the matchup coming? Do you think this is where they're setting up?
Yes.
So how do you think this is going to work? Because of course, Asuka and Becky can't go at it necessarily in promos in English as powerfully as she would with Sasha. So what do you think the option is here? They're going to have Becky doing more of these backstage promos, Asuka on her own, because I don't know if they'll have a back and forth. Do you think that's possible?
They've been letting Asuka speak Japanese on the mic, but you're right. That's not a back and forth situation.
Right.
I don't know. I think they're going to go more so because, it's the whole thing that Asuka beat Becky.
Right.
Asuka did beat Becky for the title. And so I think that's the more so the angle they're going to be going for of like, they've kind of made Asuka seem a little more dominant again. Yeah. Now she's got a little henchman. She's got like a thing going on. She's got the makeup. She's kind of like evolving.
Yeah.
And so it only makes sense for her to set her sights on Becky Lynch. Yeah. It made sense for Kairi Sane to lose.
Totally.
She's still so new to the main roster. And the fact that that she lost in 15 minutes says a lot for what, hopefully they see for her as well eventually one day on the main roster. So I think that the program itself, I'm guessing it's going to be more built around the fact that Asuka beat her.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm looking forward to that. Because Asuka is a great wrestler. So to see her go toe to toe with Becky be fun for the title.
I also love how much they're getting the green mist over.
Yeah, right. I was surprised because obviously, it's an old school callback to Muda and all that, but I didn't know that it would still be effective nowadays. But you remember, it's been how many decades since we've seen that. So to see it come back, and also for the old school fans, it's a nice reference for the old school fans. So I think it just works on both sides. And it is working because when she sprayed Becky last week, it looked like she missed Becky, but there's enough of it that it just covers the face, so it gets the point across, right? So because I can't imagine you want it directly in your eyes. So.
And they did a good job of Paige this week, where when Paige took it, she was screaming like, "My eyes are burning!
Yeah.
My eyes are burning!"
Get me water.
So that's gonna be fun. I'm sure she'll have a lot to say about it on that backstage show when she's on it, because now she's one of the hosts of that show. I'm looking forward to seeing what she has to say about it, because I'm sure she's gonna be fiery.
She's been tweeting about it already. How it's great that you guys were there, but no one came to my assistance, which I thought was funny.
So I like seeing Paige used in things. I thought all of this was a hit, in my opinion. I don't think there's anything bad here.
Great way to begin.
And it was like a lot of the first opening of the show, I felt like. It was like 30, 40 minutes of all of this. That's good for the women.
Yeah, exactly.
Made up for the lack of one on Smackdown too, when they were everyone was mad because there was it Raw last week when they were all in Australia, right? Raw last week.
Yeah. Well, it's going to happen. The balance is going to, sometimes it's going to go one way. It's just the way it happens. All right, R-Truth that comes out here gets interviewed by Charlie in the center of the ring, talking about the 24/7 title. And then Buddy Murphy comes out. I thought it was funny what R-Truth said about the bifocals thing, about how confusing the two twins, all that kind of jazz with the Singh brothers, even though they're not Actually twins. But Buddy comes out. Buddy dispatches him pretty quickly. So what was the point of this? Just to get Buddy over a little bit? Because, I mean, beating R-Truth doesn't really help you, but then why would you beat R-Truth when the 24/7 thing is his thing? It just was a confusing booking thing for me.
I mean, I guess the vibe I got what they were going for was a way to, like, give Buddy Murphy a little bit of TV time while also giving a little bit of TV time to the 24/7 championship without having him be part of it, maybe?
Yeah, or even a sketch. There was no sketch last night.
No, well, they just had them run around the ring.
Yeah, that's it.
During the match. And then Truth got, like, distracted and then came back in and then lost. I didn't dislike it, but it wasn't anything that exciting.
Yeah, that's what I feel like. Is with Buddy, if you're gonna get Buddy over, look what they're doing with Humberto. Like Buddy should be in these kinds of matches too to get him over as well. And we'll get to Humberto in a little bit. But yeah, anyway, all right, the Street Profits.
Do you think that Buddy has the same kind of potential that Humberto has?
Yes. I think Buddy, Cedric, Ricochet, Alistair, and Humberto are all the new blood in the WWE, and they all should be getting these kinds of pushes in their booking. In my opinion, I think Buddy can get over real well.
It's not that I don't think I can get that he can get over well. I definitely think he can get over well.
Yeah,
I just meant more so like as a babyface, Humberto has more potential, in my opinion, to connect to a bigger audience of people. Okay. And as a heel, I don't know if Buddy Murphy brings the same kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Like
veracity?
Not veracity of like the same kind of like people would like someone that people would fear. Like I don't know if like I don't know if he's necessarily that strong of a heel yet either. He's kind of like in the middle because he's doing Kenny Omega, Kota Ibushi moves that are going to get people to pop.
Yeah.
But then he's also a heel. But then he had that thing with Daniel Bryan where he was kind of a face. Yeah. So that I think that's maybe where my confusion lies, is that he's been booked in a confusing way where I'm not sure how we're supposed to see him necessarily.
But that's the inherent point, though.
Totally.
The 24/7 thing, it made no sense.
Totally, absolutely. Now that I'm thinking about it as a whole, and I just feel like compared to at least you see him, he looks like a young boy with dimples who can fly around in the air. That does have easy babyface potential. Right. Like Ricochet got a 20-minute match on the show too, or whatever. Yeah. And Aleister Black is getting pushed too, regardless of what you want to think about it. So and I think those are also more clear cut. Buddy Murphy has been very confusing in how they booked him to me.
But that's me. You got to make it clear cut. That's up to the booking, and they should be doing that as soon as possible.
Fair.
All right, we got Street Profits coming out. By the way, I need to get one of those Street Profits jackets. Those jackets look awesome. We should come up with that.
I'm not wearing one of those.
PWS merch. You should have PWS merch.
I don't wear jacket. I don't like wearing sleeveless stuff.
No, I mean their jacket. It wasn't sleeveless.
Well, is it Montez's sleeveless and Angelo Dawkins that has sleeves?
Yeah, Angelo Dawkins has sleeves. Okay. It's a full-on workout jacket. I think you go to Cafe Press and go Pro Wrestling Sheet PWS logo. I'm just saying.
I don't know if it's in the budget.
Just a suggestion. You don't have to pay for it. The fans do. When they buy it. I don't think that's how it works, I think. Anyway, they come out and do their whole promo, talking about how they want to wrestle everybody and do their thing, and they want the smoke. And then the fans start chanting organically, we want the smoke, unless WWE's planted people in there. I never know with that.
Not with the chants.
They organically
They have to find a lot of people for that kind of chant.
We want the smoke, but it actually surprised them. I don't know if that's authentic or not, but they looked like they were legitimately surprised about the chants and then rolled with it all the way out of the ring. Did you like the promo?
Well, I liked them coming through the crowd. I think that's actually going to be a good idea, a good strategy for them, of them like coming out and then partying through the crowd with everyone. It's only going to influence the cup thing. It's just going to make it a better experience. I think that's a smart idea to do that with them. The promo itself, it's wasn't that great. You know what the problem is?
It was okay. It was good.
Is that Montez is so good that if Angelo Dawkins is only good, it shines a light on that he's not as good as Montez. And if you, on top of that, give them lines that it looks like they're reading, because I felt like out of everything we've heard Angelo Dawkins say in the past, this felt the most like, say this. Right? It did kind of, right? Some of the like, the cliche, like, what was her name? I was with a girl. What was her? It felt very forced. Like, it didn't feel like it didn't feel like something a guy who hooked up with a girl the night before and didn't remember her name would say. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Like that, a guy like that would be cool, like would be very like smooth in that regard, and it wouldn't look like he's remembering lines when he's saying that, you know?
Right.
It looked like a guy who does remember the girl, who didn't actually even hook up with a girl, and is telling people he did.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Like, oh, I don't even remember. Like, that's the way it came off. And I love the Street Profits. I just think almost, you know, to a certain degree, they should just let Montez do most of the talking. Like Montez's strength is clearly in his charisma and his talking. He's a great wrestler too.
But then you start veering into the Kaz-Enzo situation, where it's Enzo doing most of the talking and Kaz gets kind of pushed to the background.
Yeah, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, not everybody has to be.
Sure, but not every wrestler wants to be in the background.
Fair, but we've talked about how Rowan doesn't necessarily need to like talk all the time.
Well, no, but when he did, people were shocked out of their minds, and it made him even better.
Exactly.
Right.
So I think when you limit that kind of thing, like similar to Brock Lesnar, like when Brock Lesnar does finally speak, you go like, damn, we should listen.
Right.
So I feel like if you give Angelo Dawkins a stronger, they have a team of writers. They've got a whole room of writers.
Of course.
If you give him a strong couple lines in there, as opposed to like where it feels like they have to keep going back and forth to create a rhythm, because that also is hard to do. Yeah. Like when you're an actor, like those are hard scenes to try and do when you're like talking to the audience and you're sing-songy back and forth thing. That's tough to get that cadence and to make it sound cool too. So I don't know. I just feel like I don't have a problem with like the Muscle saying some tough stuff at the end when the charismatic one says the amazing. I don't think that's a problem. I actually think the Kaz thing is smart to do that.
Well, I think it worked for them.
Like,
I just don't think it works for Street Profits. I hear your point about Angelo Dawkins. Of course, he's not as good as Montez, but
even like Harlem Heat. But you know, Booker T did most of the talking, and Stevie Ray would come in with like the catchphrase at the end or something like that.
But I think he doesn't have. I think Dawkins has more. He just has more charisma, more charm, more personality than Stevie Ray or than Kaz. No offense to Kaz. I just feel like he's got more to offer. So you've got to work him into the promos, and they've been doing this the whole time at NXT. And the whole time at Raw when they've been doing those backstage stuff. So it works overall. I hear what you're saying though. It's very clear that Montez is more comfortable and easier and funnier on the mic than Dawkins. So you just got to figure out what's the rhythm here. So maybe it's Montez talking more at the beginning, then weaving in as it goes along, Angelo at the end. That's
maybe the back and forth was what I had the most issue with, because it didn't feel like a natural back and forth between them. It felt like something that they had rehearsed.
Yep, and I think that's why I didn't think this promo was as good as the other promos in the back.
Agreed.
It felt a little.
All their backstage
rehearsed.
promos have been fantastic, and maybe but this one definitely felt more rehearsed than the others.
Sometimes if you mess with something too much, you don't like the results. All right, let's move on to Hulk Hogan coming out with Ric Flair. It's my man Hulk Hogan. What a pop he got still. And came out with Jimmy Hart. Jimmy Hart still not a gray hair on that head. They came out with Ricochet and McIntyre. They had a little back and forth, of course, and then Ricochet and McIntyre got into it. I thought this was an incredible match again between these two guys. McIntyre was mauling the hell out of Ricochet through most of this match. I mean, that guy can take some bumps. What did I say? The buckle bomb DD on the second buckle of the that scared the hell out of me. Ever since the Sting thing with Rollins, I've been so scared of that buckle bomb. Right? Like it scares you, man.
And unfortunately, they're both Rollins related. Same for when I see someone do the sunset flip off the top rope to do like a power bomb. So when someone's standing on the top rope and they flip off and they land on their ankle, I always think of when Seth Rollins injured his ankle doing that, and I'm like, just don't do that. Just don't do it. But it totally. And dude, the Ricochet thing. Yeah. He takes those back body drops like no one else.
How is his head not broken?
It's crazy when he does them. Like the way he like makes the way his body almost like bends in half while he's midair and he's still able to like flatten himself out before hitting the mat.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Every time.
Agreed.
And Drew McIntyre, man, he is just such a presence.
Yeah.
He is just like, he's one of those things where, you always hear people go like, you hear like the old timers, they go like, well, you know someone's a pro wrestler when they're like, if like they're walking through the airport and when they're walking through the airport, everyone knows that person's a pro wrestler.
Yeah.
There's no chance when Drew McIntyre walks through an airport that people don't think he's a pro wrestler. He's just this like mountain of a man that is just like, looks like he could tear you apart if he really wanted to. Like, literally looks like he could tear you in half if he wanted to. And I love it. I mean, watching him just brutalize Ricochet this whole match, talking crap to Hulk Hogan while doing it, just made him look like such a top guy. Like, just like, you're just like, man, that guy is the championship material the whole time you're watching this match. I can't wait till he's champion eventually, because he's so great since coming back. He was great before. And this match, these two have such good chemistry together.
They really do, surprisingly so.
When Drew McIntyre is great working with smaller guys. He, in PWG, I used to watch him wrestle smaller guys often, and he is a great base for them to work against, and he's also so strong that he can just catapult them in crazy ways and stuff, and they can flip out of it. It's fantastic. I love that these two have had chances against each other.
It's almost like Gage, right? Gage is kind of the same way. Big dude, but can really work well with the luchadors or the high flyers and have chemistry with them, don't you think?
Who?
Brian Gage?
Oh, Brian Cage.
Cage,
I thought you said
Cage.
Gage.
Sorry.
I was like, Nick Gage?
No,
I was like,
no.
Nick. I was like, no.
Brian Cage. Mike Awesome, another one, right?
Absolutely.
Big dudes who can have chemistry with these luchadors and get great matches, or high-flying wrestlers get great matches out of them.
Yes, definitely. Brian Cage is definitely a good base for that kind of thing. Absolutely.
Yeah, well, RKO slides in just when it looks like Ricochet might be getting the victory here, and does a brutal RKO, and God love Ricochet for taking it head first into the mat and flipping his body and down, and so it's believable when this whole thing happens. No one seems to come out from Team Hogan to stop this from happening at all either. Ricochet just takes the hit, and they just stand there in the ring and celebrate while Hogan's on the outside with Jimmy Hart, just like, oh, well, I guess we don't have anybody else to run in on this. We used them all up on Smackdown last week. They can't run in. All right, let's move on.
I just had to answer this. I just had to answer this.
Okay.
But say that last point you said right there about those two.
They were standing in the ring, and there was no one who could come in to help him from Team Hogan, apparently. And I said maybe he used them all up in SmackDown. So
okay.
Yeah, they're too busy handling stuff. Shorty G couldn't run in.
Wait, before you move topics, though, the best part of this match happened at the end.
Yeah.
When Randy Orton came running in.
I said that already.
Oh, no. Oh, did you say that?
RKO,
sorry.
yeah.
I was texting my girl. I moved something that my girlfriend uses at home, and I thought she doesn't use it. So like, it was like, where is that?
That's important in the middle of the show, damn it. All right.
You like your girlfriend getting mad at you for moving her stuff?
Nah, I never
exactly.
I never move her stuff.
I moved her stuff. That was on me.
That's on you, son.
I thought she doesn't use that, so I put it away.
Your girlfriend can move your stuff. You can't move her stuff. That's the rule. That's
true.
always the rule.
So I saw, I was like, oh no, I did move that last night. I thought she doesn't use that. Okay, I was trying to like clean up. I was trying to tidy things up.
Oh no, don't do that.
That RKO cell.
That was great.
That was one of the best RKOs maybe of all time.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, actually.
But at least it's cell-wise. Because it's hard to say of all time.
First and then the body.
A lot of the flips that'll happen, like when Evan Bourne did the flip and the shooting star press, and he did the RKO. That's probably one of the best of ever. But in terms of cell, it was like the other one I can think of was when RVD had that happen. RVD had the RKO when he sold it, very similar. And man, I did the screen grab of when Ricochet's head hits the mat, and you can see his body like, it's crazy the way his neck is just like twisted when he does that. That was sick. That was sick. I loved it.
Yeah, me too. I agree. All right, let's move on to Humberto Carrillo versus the OC in a promo here.
I was going to say, are we already at that?
Yeah.
This is the backstage promo, though.
Right. This was kind of funny because the OC, as in standard heel form, saying amigo over and over again. I thought it was brilliant.
Okay, I'm so glad it wasn't just me that found that
it was
hysterical.
Hilarious. Yeah.
I was laughing. I watched that clip. I was going to tweet it, but I didn't know if I was the only one that would find that funny.
Yeah.
But him saying amigo, but amigo.
And then at the end, we'll see you, amigo. Yeah, it was perfect.
And in the background, you can hear like Gallows and Anderson go like, "That's right, compadre. That's right, compadre," or something like that. I died. That promo was hilarious.
Yeah.
I like the way they're building up Humberto. My girlfriend didn't watch Raw with me last week, so she watched this week with me, and she was like, "Oh, I like this guy. You know, he seems like he could be good stuff. I like him." So he's clearly connecting with non-hardcore wrestling fans too, I imagine. And it's smart to go from Seth Rollins to AJ Styles like that. Like, even if he's not winning, he's getting huge exposure in these matches.
Yeah. Agreed. Good stuff there, and we'll see that bear fruit later on in the night. All right, for some reason, the Viking Raiders had a squash match as champions.
This was so bad. You won't find me defending this one for once.
This is the
Does
problem.
that make you happy?
What? I'm always right, so I don't know. I don't need you to validate. What I'm saying is it's frustrating to me because once you excuse it in other situations, then this is the result. They should never be squash matches ever, in my opinion. We've gone back and forth about this many, many times. I think it offers nothing to build up anybody. Maybe, oh, Jesus. Who do you do the radio show with? You used to do the radio show with? Ryback. And when Ryback was coming out and doing this, that was great, right? Because you didn't know who he was and you build up. But as champions, you should not be doing squash matches.
I agree with you. I don't think champions should be doing squash matches.
It's ridiculous.
You should be doing squash matches for the people who are going to be their opponents that you're trying to build up.
At a house show, knock yourself out.
Even here,
on TV.
To me, the thing that I won't defend here. I was less offended by the squash, them using jobbers or enhanced talent or whatever. I more disliked the Chicago Cubs thing.
Yeah,
where they were the Chicago Cubs and they used the
Chicago Cubs.
I mean, I didn't get that part, but I assumed that was the case. But as a guy who wasn't watching wrestling, let's say, and he wasn't watching in 1994 or whatever, but I wasn't watching wrestling when people say it was at its worst, 95, right?
Sure.
That's when it was right before the Attitude Era. I started watching the Attitude Era. That's when I watched it casually because of my dad prior, but religiously in the Attitude Era is when I started watching religiously. And when you go back and you watch some of those things of they talk about when wrestling was at its worst, when wrestling was at its lowest, when people were at their most jaded on the product, you'll see stuff about how there were guys like Abe Knuckleball Schwartz and who's the other guy, the Viking guy who had the sword. I don't remember him. So who they're watching, gonna be so mad at me.
Yeah. You think?
Not the Warlord. Is that his name? The Warlord?
Well, there was a Warlord, yeah, but he was part of the other stable.
No, it's not the Warlord. He has some stupid name. He had the hat. Yeah, Viking wrestler, WWF. Sword.
Let's take a look.
John Nord, that's it. The Viking.
It was just called the Viking?
The Berserker.
The Berserker.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. I'm sorry. The Berserker.
Oh, the Berserker. Right.
You see that and I go those are the things that people in these retrospect videos are making fun of.
Yeah, right.
They're saying this is when wrestling was bad.
Or even Tatanka a little bit.
Those kinds of things.
At the end, yeah.
And last night we had two baseball guys against two Vikings.
Yeah.
And to me, that goes I love the Viking Raiders, but they're supposed to be they're not supposed to be a comedy act. Their Viking thing isn't supposed to be this jokey gimmick where it's two Vikings that huff on their way to the ring. It's just they like Viking culture.
Yeah.
They're tough dudes with beards, To me, putting them against two baseball characters that are this really jokey, dumb thing is less. I think there's less heat involved where they're we're pumped to see the Cubs get beaten up, and more eye rolling of why? Come on.
Of course.
At least put them in the ring with two wrestlers. I'll at least accept that. Two guys who were in gear or whatever. I just think that, I don't know. I think that when you already have a gimmick that's kind of towing the line a little bit, when you put them with another comedy act like that, it makes them look like a comedy act.
Exactly, and it takes away the prestige of the belts. This is what struck me. This is what struck me as I was watching this going the one fear I had when the Viking Raiders won the belt is after it was done, the match was done, I immediately went oh, why does it feel like the belts are going to disappear on them? Fair. And it feels like that over the last 2 weeks, and this is the same thing that happened when I thought, listen, here's the difference, right? With the Iconics, I thought they made a terrible decision, but I understood the decision because if they had played this thing correctly, they would have made merch bank off the Iconics if they had booked them to keep winning and sneaking out these victories like they did with Carmella. It would have been fine to do that. But to have them keep losing over and over again in singles and tag teams, you took away the prestige of having won the belts at WrestleMania. Now you do this with the Viking Raiders, doing it on a Raw, having them win the belts on a Raw, but then you're having them defend against nobodies. It means the belt doesn't mean anything. It means the competition is that low that you can't find anybody else in the tag team division who wants to fight them that you go to a couple of jobbers. It just is a bad look overall.
And also, they should be doing the Aleister Black thing.
Right.
They're the champions.
Yeah.
They don't need to prove themselves against jobbers.
They don't need to wrestle.
Talent.
They don't even need to wrestle. They could just promo this week.
You're right. You know what? Maybe it would show they disappear, but you're right. They could just promo this week.
Yeah.
They could do something about how tough they are, and we roll our eyes at Aleister Black doing it sometimes, but it would make sense when a champion does it.
Yep.
When a champion does it, they do have to wait for someone to knock on their door, so to speak, because they've earned it, and they're the champion.
That's right.
So that makes more sense in that regard.
I agree. Speaking of which, congratulations to me and Dan's tag team champions of the Schmodown.
We can talk about it now?
We can. It's official. We did it in Orlando. We beat Kalinowski and Chance. It was a great match.
Suck it, Kalinowski.
Oh, there you go. All right. If you haven't seen it, watch it. It's on the YouTube channel there for Schmodown. You watch our fight. It was a great fight. They gave all they could get, but it was just great being in Orlando. Dude, I'm telling you, this is as close as I'll ever get to being a pro wrestler.
Well,
that vibe. No, I don't mean like, you never know. I could end up being a manager one day. But actually wrestling.
Fair.
Yeah, actually wrestling,
no,
right?
but still, you'd be closer like now because you're like a champion. If you were a manager, you wouldn't hold gold.
That's right. I wouldn't hold gold.
So this is the closest you'll ever get to being a wrestler,
kind of. In a ring with being in an arena with people chanting, people chanting your name.
I saw the pictures.
It was mind blowing.
It was cool.
It's overwhelming.
That picture, I think it's you. What are you guys holding the belt in that cool
Dan
picture?
And I
Christian posted. Yeah, it was a cool picture.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and then they started chanting my name before my promo, before the match. That was insane. And then afterwards when we won. So, it was just great. Anyway, we're tag team champs. And now we're going to defend it. Schmodown Spectacular coming up in December. Come see us live. Do it, Dan and I.
Who's that against?
We don't know yet because tag team tournament hasn't happened yet. So
whoever it is, you're going down, sucker.
Yeah, you are, because I'm defending that goddamn belt. All right, anyway, moving on from the Viking Raiders. Andrade Cien Almas coming out again with Zelina. But Sin Cara has brought some backup. They have a rematch from the match from last week. He brought in this luchadora. Her name is Carolina. She is a 5-year pro from the Chilean indie scene in South America. Did a little research here.
I saw people saying that. No one officially confirmed that, though. It's kind of everyone's saying, I'm guessing that's who it is. But I don't know if anyone officially confirmed that.
Okay, well, this is what I'm getting off. Okay, so it's possible. She's been competing as Jessie in her native Chile. She's a former 2-time RLL Women's Champion. She switched to 5 luchas in early 2019. In August, she signed with NXT, and she's been performing at the WWE Performance Center in Orlando, and had
only a few months.
Only a few months.
In October or something like that.
It's an interesting decision to bring her into this situation. But hey,
even I think it's like a few weeks.
If the women's division is going to, if the women's division is going to expand, the idea of a luchador makes sense. A luchadora makes sense. So I like.
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. It could just be a very short thing, considering how quickly they brought her to the main roster.
Is what I'm saying.
I also like the idea.
The match, not so much. But overall, I thought their last match was better.
I mean, I thought that. Yes. When the last match, they had way more time.
Yes, true.
This was clearly to get over the idea of Sin Cara having his own luchadora by his side.
Right.
If they're going to go that direction, I like it. Yeah. Like I said, I've already been liking the Latino influence that's been taking over Raw lately. And so I'm into a luchadora.
Yeah.
I'm into that idea. I'm surprised we haven't seen really more of them on the main roster. I'm trying to think if there has been one that I can think of. No, there was that La Luchadora that had it as a joke on Smackdown, but I can't think, and I'm probably forgetting one, and someone's going to be offended. But I like the idea. I think it's a great idea. I think it's a fantastic idea. I don't know if people seem to like it. Yeah, people seem to like this segment, so I'm not going to shit on it or anything like that. Right. I just think they could have done more to get her over in this. And if the point of this segment was to introduce this Carolina girl, you'd think that she should have done something to help her team cut off Zelina, but instead, her get involved still caused Sin Cara to lose.
And how incompetent is the referee when he is on the second rope for leverage? That was so weird. And the referee got up. As the referee got up, he is signaling the bell. Sin Cara's legs are still on the ropes, for God's sake. So I was just I slowed it down slow motion. I'm like, this is stupid. You should have totally seen it, or at least played it off, turned away so you don't see it. But he was ringing the bell, and as he was ringing the bell, he literally goes like this as he's ringing the bell, and you're like, oh my God, you can see his feet on the ropes. But
that's very fair.
I agree with you. I think they should have won because now it makes it feel like this could be a little bit of a mini rivalry for Andrade. way. And you throw in the Carolina element that allows her and Zelina now to have little battles outside the ring. I think it's great all around. It adds more drama, more intrigue to the situation. This just feels like, oh, he won anyway. What's the big deal?
Did she cut a promo too before the match? Or did he just introduce her and then they walked out, right?
Yeah.
I'm interested to see if she, like, what her promo, like, if she's like, what her English is like.
Oh, Carolina's. Yeah,
right?
I don't know.
You just said she's from Chile, right?
Yeah, from Chile. Yeah.
Yeah, so.
South America, son.
Yeah, I'm interested to see I'm interested to see.
Yeah.
I liked her, though. She had a cool look.
I did too. We'll see what happens with her. Speaking of ladies, let's move on.
They should have called her Sing Carolina, though. Right?
You're getting old. These dad jokes. They're starting to creep into your mind.
I'm just saying, her name's Carolina. If they're calling her Carolina, Sing Carolina would have made more sense.
That means without Caroline. Seeing Cara without face makes sense because you're a luchador. You've been the mask.
Without face.
Right. Without Carolina doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. You're right.
Sweet Caroline. Anyway, all right. Let's move on to some more ladies action. That's the Iconics taking on Nattie and Charlotte. Hello. You tweeted a gif of Peyton Royce doing that nice spin. Let them do more of that. But once again, they had them play the heel. And I wrote this down. I don't know what you think. It feels to me like they're going the way of the Maharaja, where they were champions and now they're getting moved all the way down to basically taking losses to help other teams get over, other wrestlers get over. This is not where the Iconics, as hard as I've been on them, the Iconics don't deserve to be at this level.
Fair.
Yeah. Did you like this at all? Did this booking of this match make any sense to you?
It definitely felt like filler. I mean, it certainly felt like filler.
Right.
It's not like Charlotte and Nattie had any real thing going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, it felt like filler. It's funny you mentioned the Iconics earlier, and I was thinking, like, if they had let the Iconics wrestle like that when they were champions, then people would have liked their run much more.
Yep.
It does seem like they have maybe fallen out of, like, the graces of wherever they were, but also, you know, they're back on Raw now, or they're on Raw now, and they have, you know, they were featured a little bit. So that's a good sign of maybe that they at least see them as someone they want to keep using and utilize them in that way. So it wasn't bad. The match was fine for what it was.
The match was fine.
Yeah.
Sure. Got no complaints about the match overall, other than I want to see them. Like, it's the thing. People have sent me videos and stuff of them at NXT and what have you, and I've been like, wow, if this is possible, then let them do this, because you lose nothing having them do this. This is old school way of thinking, to have someone who's a constant W and just shrieks. It's old school stuff that you don't need anymore in 2019 or 2020 as we're about to turn the corner into a new year. I think this Iconics act should be changed completely to where they're more vicious, more brutal, more on top of it, and they're gonna get over like that. Because look, two things. They're beautiful, they're in fantastic shape, and they can wrestle. All three of those things, well, I meant two, but all three of those things combined would sell you merch, would make them go right back up the chain, and people would start to cheer for them. If you turn them face or if you made them ultra heels, this is the way to go.
Couldn't have said it better myself, and we're glad to have you on the team now, Rocha.
Jesus Christ, I'm not saying it, I'm just saying. All right, anyway, let's move on.
Welcome aboard the Iconics train.
I'm not doing that. No matter what Aaron Turner would like me to do. All right, Seth Rollins, he does his promo here talking about he burned down the house. And apparently the house is fine.
Yeah, house is good.
And
back.
so is Ramblin' Rabbit.
Which I liked the whole thing on SmackDown. So we haven't had time to talk SmackDown as much lately.
I'm mad that the house didn't stay burnt.
See, I like the house didn't stay burnt.
Okay.
I mean, as much as I would have liked some advancement to the house afterwards. I mean, it makes sense that he can rebuild his little set, because it's not supposed to be a house, it's a TV set. So, like, you know, we fixed our set after it fell the other day.
That's true.
Sets can be rebuilt. I liked the whole, like, weird funeral thing they did.
Yeah, that was strange.
On SmackDown, and then, like, Ramblin' Rabbit was reborn, like he keeps being reborn. Thought that was fun. I'm into it. And I like that he's going to be on Miz TV this week.
Yeah.
That should be interesting. Wow. Do you think that they're going to do Mr. Rogers, Bray Wyatt on the screen and Miz in the ring, and they're going to interact that way? Or do you think we're going to see that version of Bray Wyatt come to the ring finally?
Yeah, I think that. Oh, that's interesting. I think maybe that version of Bray Wyatt comes to the ring. That makes more sense, because then the Fiend doesn't necessarily maybe the lights go out and he becomes the Fiend or whatever.
That'd be tough to do fast. Although you could have someone have a similar build that looks like the Fiend that runs in, that they do a swap real fast.
That's certainly possible.
Tough, but you could do it.
You could, or rolls out from under the ring or something like that.
That's what I mean. Like you could have someone with a similar, like if you had someone with a similar build to Bray Wyatt, it'd be risky because you'll probably know it's not him unless you really, really worked on it.
Right.
But possible.
I would love it if he interviewed the puppets.
I like that too.
That'd be a Miz TV in the. Oh, he could do it in the fire. And maybe it's Miz TV in the Firefly Funhouse.
See, I like that idea too of Miz being like, no, I don't like this. This isn't how Miz TV works. I'm going back to you.
Right.
Hold. And they come back from the commercial and he's in the Funhouse. Fun too. My guess though is they're gonna do Mr. Rogers, Bray Wyatt on the TV, Miz in the ring, and then the Fiend attacks.
Now, when is Crown Jewel?
Thursday.
So by the time SmackDown airs on Friday, the Fiend could be the champion.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a good point, too.
I just wonder about that.
I think he's going to be.
You think so?
I think he's going to be.
I don't know if Crown Jewel's a place for him to win it, though.
But that's wild.
That's so weird, man. I don't think it has as much prestige if he does it on another more high-profile pay-per-view.
You say that.
With less drama.
But you forget.
Yeah.
That WWE makes more money from Crown Jewel than they make for WrestleMania.
I agree, but
I'm talking about the prestige.
Fans.
I realize I'm talking about the prestige factor, though.
Yeah.
Like, to them, these shows are more important than WrestleMania.
Yeah, that's fair.
Which is a crazy thing to say, but to a certain degree it is.
Well, financially, certainly.
Yeah.
You can argue that, absolutely. All right, anyway, Seth takes on Erick Rowan here in a Falls Count Anywhere match. This was a damn good, old school, fun-ass 90s Attitude Era match out all over the place. Both of them taking some incredible bumps. And I always wonder how much of this stuff is planned out and how much of it isn't, because they throw them on stuff that I don't think is built or ready to have humans thrown on top of it. So there's legitimate like pain and anguish that they're going through all this. But I didn't see a forklift pinning Rowan. That was brilliant to me. And it felt like old school 90s.
Of all the things that you crap on,
Mick Foley.
you liked them taking from something that people hated from the Attitude Era?
Oh, I love what? The Falls Count Anywhere matches?
The forklift.
Oh, the
from
forklift.
Halftime Heat.
Right. Forklift from Halftime Heat. I love that they brought it back.
That's one of the things. People hate that Halftime Heat ending.
Maybe the people you talk to. The people I like to talk to had a great time with that Halftime Heat.
You just made that up. You know one person. Name one friend of yours that you
Andre Gordon, Matt Burke. We used to watch these things way back when. We loved the Halftime Heat. I just didn't like that there was no audience.
And you loved the forklift finish.
The Rock and Foley, right?
I liked the match.
Yeah, the match was great.
Match very memorable.
And the forklift is brilliant. It's ingenious. Yeah. So when Seth's standing on top of him, the forklift, that's a legitimate pin. It works.
All right. I'm shocked to hear you praise the forklift finish. I was not a fan of the forklift finish. Wow. At least they didn't do the terrible camera angle of Mick Foley looking down at the forklift coming down. Right. It helps keep Erick Rowan strong a little bit. But like, sometimes I feel like when you're so worried about keeping the loser strong, you forget about how it makes the winner look by having to fight that hard for someone. And like, I don't know if Erick Rowan is necessarily at that level yet in the fans' eyes to where it's that hard to beat him that you need to use a forklift. And if Seth is having that much difficulty, you'd think that maybe there's a problem there that your champ needs a forklift to beat a guy who isn't even in title contention.
Wow.
I don't know. Like, isn't that kind of demeaning? Especially when his finisher.
Yeah.
His finisher.
He did it like 2 or 3 times on multiple objects.
That's the other thing. They have ruined the stomp.
Oh, they have. Well, the Fiend was the beginning of ruining the stomp. Rowan kicking out of 2 or 3 stomps or not staying down, that's ruining it even more. I agree.
And I hate that they have ruined the stomp because the stomp was one of the coolest finishers in WWE.
Agreed.
I hate when he has to use the pedigree.
Right,
I hate when he has to use the pedigree because then you go like, oh, you have to use the finisher of the guy you supposedly dislike?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense. I get it. You slayed the king, so you're the king slayer, and now you've taken his finisher, but I don't. Triple H still wrestles. Like,
true.
You know, like I I don't know. I don't like when he has to resort to. I don't think the pedigree is his super finisher. So yeah, I don't like that they've demeaned the Stomp that much. I hated that he did it on a table and still couldn't win.
Right. On a ladder.
Yeah. So fun match. It was a fun match.
Absolutely.
I just don't know if it made. They made Erick Rowan look really strong. So if that was the point, then mission accomplished.
Feels like
just
that
felt
was.
like it, and it does feel like that's what it was. But do you think that like going into a title match, making the champion look as strong as possible would be the like what you'd want to do?
Well, having him overcome this beast this way, maybe they felt doing it this way is kind of.
But he cheated again.
Yeah, he did.
Both times he's had to overcome. Most of the times he had to overcome stuff.
Yeah.
Brock Lesnar, for example, the thing that he bragged with beating Brock Lesnar, he low blowed him 20 times.
Right.
Now, in order to like get prepared for the Fiend, he had to cheat. Now, I guess not cheat because it's not cheating because it's a false count anywhere. But he had to. He couldn't put the guy down himself.
He had to use a forklift.
He had to use a forklift.
Well.
He had to use a car to put someone down.
He's troubleshooting, man. He's ingenious. He's ingenious. He's troubleshooting.
I just don't think it makes the champion look very strong. That's all.
That's fair. I don't disagree, especially when a lot of people come for him now anyway. So, all right, fair.
And he is starting to. I do think the heel turn is coming.
Yes.
I think so.
I think burning down I think they're going to turn Fiend face and him heel.
I hope that they have a double turn in mind for Crown Jewel because it does seem like he did an interview after the show with WWE, one of those post-match promos or whatever on YouTube, where he basically talked about the fans disrespecting him lately and how he's busting his ass and they're over there cheering this new fun toy because they think the Fiend's cool. But like that to me is the like beginnings of a face turn. Yeah. I mean a heel turn. And I hope that's the case because he was much better as a heel.
I don't disagree. Aleister Black does his promo again, the door stuff, the knocking and blah, blah, blah. What do you want me to say? Do anything? All right, we'll move on. AJ Styles finally versus Humberto. This was a fun ass match. I think AJ is so happy that he gets to do these matches with like Ricochet and with Humberto because this is old school NJPW shit where he can just really let it all fly. All his tactics, all the hard bumps, all the dangerous stuff, all of it comes into play, and he feels at home here.
I would say more Impact than NJPW. Well,
Impact, sure.
Because that was where he was like the X Division guy.
Yeah.
And he's been getting to do more of those like fun X Division type matches lately.
Yeah. I was referencing the Shinsuke stuff when he would fight Shinsuke. It was like no holds barred. And so I like that he's able to kind of dial back into this. He feels more at home in these kinds of matches.
Absolutely. He definitely does. And I think that, something he said in that promo where like, I used to be you.
Yeah.
I think that does ring true to him in some way where, he's a veteran at this point. He's been around for a really long time, AJ Styles. And there was a point where he was that young, high-flying guy on the roster coming in against veterans and trying to, get his shit in or whatever. And I think, he's at a stage of his career where the roles are reversed now. Like, he is that veteran, and there is these new, young, flippy guys coming in, and he likes to show that he's still got it. And, he's able to do it against Ricochet. He's able to do it against Cedric Alexander. Now he's doing it against Humberto Carrillo, and I love it. I think it's fantastic. It's a great way of using AJ Styles. If you're not able to have him as the champion, like the main champion, have him as the upper mid-card champion, putting on awesome matches with all the younger up and coming talent. Great use of AJ Styles. Great rub for all the wrestlers. AJ is a guy who makes matches easy for people. And you hear that all the time, like where, guys like Kurt Angle are like, I want to wrestle AJ Styles if I come back and wrestle another match because he's going to make me look good and, make it comfortable for me to a certain degree. And I think that, AJ Styles is one of those wrestlers that he can have a good match with a bad wrestler. Like he can do all the work to make someone look good. So when he's with someone who's also like able to do the same, magic usually happens. And while this match maybe wasn't as good as the Seth Rollins match, I think that it did just as good as showing that Humberto can go with some of the top guys and that he's in that same category, like you said, of like the Ricochets and the Cedric Alexanders and the Buddy Murphys and stuff. And it's smart to keep building up that part of the roster. There's one thing I've noticed in the past couple of months, and people shit on Raw or whatever, but for those of us who've been paying attention, I know you've noticed it too, is there has been an effort made to have all the parts of the card matter again. That I've noticed it. Like there's been we were on here for a while being like, these things don't matter. We're watching things that don't matter. There's no character development anywhere. It's just filler. And I don't feel like we're getting that anymore. I think that
They're at least trying. Yeah.
They're at least trying.
There's still a couple of spots, but at least they try.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so I like that they are trying to build importance all up and down the card and not just the top of the card. That's it shows. I mean, the fact that the guys like Humberto and Aleister Black and Viking Raiders, they're trying, you know? And so I like that a lot. I thought this was a fantastic match.
Yeah. They try to beat Humberto after the bell rings. He certainly gets the Styles Clash put on him. But then the Street Profits come in and clear house. So that's our third. There we go. We were wondering who our third was going to be. It's Humberto and the Street Profits versus the OC. So that'll come down at some point down the road. Certainly that'll be fun to watch that progress to a pay-per-view match down the road. All right, let's get to the big talking point of the night, and that's the way.
Also, real fast before we get into the big talking point of the night, I will say this much: I felt like with everything that happened on social media yesterday with Jordan Miles,
I don't know what happened.
A lot.
Okay.
A lot happened.
Okay.
And
too busy watching the Benioff and Weiss stuff. That whole meltdown on Twitter.
It was a big deal yesterday.
Okay.
And I just want to say I did think it was a mistake to not like have a black person in a match winning. Like they had Street Profits come out and save the day.
Yeah.
But they had Ricochet in a match, but he didn't win. And they had
he didn't lose either.
He didn't lose either, but he didn't win. And then they had R-Truth on the show, but he got confused during the match and ran away. And like basically Jordan Miles, I'm surprised you didn't see this yesterday, but he basically spoke out against a shirt that WWE put out for him a month ago where he says it looks like a racist logo.
I saw it in passing that WWE issued a statement saying that they had worked together with Jordan.
Correct.
To create the logo.
Yes,
Was
correct.
Jordan saying they didn't?
No, Jordan is saying that what he is saying is that he only saw it on a white design. He approved it. He collaborated with him, but the T-shirt was the background was white, so he didn't notice how racially insensitive it appeared until once he saw it on a black background shirt, and it looked like kind of like one of those Sambo character kind of things where it's like big lips and teeth kind of a thing, you know?
Whoa.
And it's his name in the teeth, basically, you know? And so it was a mistake on everyone on everyone's part. And he spoke out against it, and then he said basically that WWE doesn't care about black people. Ooh. So I just thought it would have been smart of them to like show, and I'm not saying that they didn't. I mean, they clearly still pushed black people last night. I just felt like they should have had one win out there to like show like, no, that's clearly not the case. And I don't know if it's too obvious of what the intention would be, but I just felt like they should have showcased it a little better.
Okay.
If you look like search, we'll talk about it after.
No, I get the references. Lord God, I've seen Bamboozled, and I know what this is all about, but this, I don't, okay. I guess I could see it, and I'm certainly not going to tell a black person what they saw or what they didn't see in that logo. So if they're offended by it, all respect to them. I defer to them, absolutely. Exactly. It's not my place to tell you what you
I feel the same way. I'm like, it's not that I feel the same about any specific way. I'm like, I'm not going to have an opinion on this. It's not my place to have an opinion on this.
Fair enough.
So that's what's going on with that.
I get that. I mean, that's been the knock against WWE for for decades. Which is why Kofi winning the belt was such a massive deal. Why you had black wrestlers getting emotional about it, because it was authentically the first full black champion ever. So to hold the legacy belt.
Yeah. Right. So, I mean, I just thought they could have done a little bit better with that. But other than that, like, the Street Profits thing was fantastic. I like that they're doing that. I like, the way they're positioning the Street Profits right now. Clearly, they're into it. It's just like they're clearly into this Lana and Lashley stuff based on how they ended the show with it last night.
That black guy won. Lashley won the night at the end. All right. Anyway, Lawler comes out, does his whole thing, talks about the Lana and Rusev thing and what it's happening. Brings out Rusev once again, looking fantastic, nice and trim. Got the beard shaved off. He looks great. Looks pretty. He looks great. Lana comes out, beautiful dress, comes out. Basically just reads him the riot act that he's a sex addict and that he just wanted to put a baby in her and have little machkas crushing things. And she's a model. She's a fashion influencer. She doesn't have time for that. No one wants to dress a pregnant woman. Well, don't show her Ashley Graham. She's been all over her being, so, whatever with that. That's a ridiculous complaint.
I gotta say, there was people who, like you, who had been shitting on this angle and stuff.
Yeah.
But even the people who I've been seeing, like you've been shitting on this angle were like, all right, I give up. This was fun.
Look,
like
they knew what they were doing.
They knew what they were doing.
To end it this way.
And even just, I loved
the show, rather.
I loved how it's one of those things where it's like it's written so well where you know the audience.
Yeah.
And that, like, in some audiences, if a woman were to tell her husband, "You're a sex addict, you're trying to sex me all the time," he'd get booed.
Yeah.
In a wrestling audience, she's like, "You're a sex addict who's obsessed with putting a baby in me," and the crowd was like, "Hell yeah, he is!
Yeah,
You're a sex addict."
It's crazy.
Which is crazy. I love how like they know their audience because like, and I'll be honest, I was the same person. I was at home just like, yeah, like I was cheering them on. The way they played it up was this was one of Lana's best promos in a long time,
hands down.
Sure, her delivery of the whole thing just made Rusev, after weeks of her making out with a guy in front of him, she was able to say a few things that turned that crowd around from thinking like, oh, this chump watching his girlfriend get, his wife, cheat on him, to like, yeah, well, Rusev's just a sex addict. Hell yeah.
Did Rusev cheat? Bobby Lashley thinks so. She told him, blah, 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 or he told her. So she has that to hold on to and says, of course, Bobby's telling the truth.
Do you think they're going to go that way? Do you think that, you think it's going to be someone?
Setup. I think they'll make it look there'll be a video from the past that makes it look like he cheated, but he didn't. Like when Stephanie walked in
even
on Triple H.
Even though they did that already, they did that with
look, they did this.
No, but with Lana and Bobby Lashley, or sorry, with Lana and Rusev and Aiden English, remember?
Yeah.
It's the same exact thing they did with him.
Right. What do you want me to say? They've had her possibly cheat on Rusev 3 separate times already. So why wouldn't they throw it in to this angle in some way? But anyway, yeah. So then Lashley comes out. They go at it. If nothing else, I walked away from this segment. I still hate the storyline, but I walked away from this going, if it leads to a good Rusev-Lashley match, I'm okay.
That angle, I don't care what you want to say. You can be one of, not you personally, but like the WWE naysayers. You can't say that by the end of that segment and what they've done the past couple weeks, that this audience, their audience, doesn't want to watch Rusev versus Lashley.
That's true. The audience was hot for it. The
audience was hot for it.
Yep.
The video on YouTube has like over almost 3 million views.
Yeah.
People liked it. It's a soap opera.
Yep.
Like wrestling is a soap opera. I don't care. It's not, WWE is not wrestling.
Yeah.
It's a soap opera, and these things are on those shows, and I loved it. Like I was cracking up the whole time. Rusev being sex god Rusev. Lana just did everything to get him over. Her hitting the kendo stick on Rusev.
Oh, that was so funny.
While he's pummeling Lashley, and it has no effect, was great. And then him just staring at her and catching the kendo stick. And you're like, is he going to hit Lana? That probably wouldn't get cheered. No. And then he gets the low blow. Like, it was just all around. It was fun chaos, and I enjoyed watching it.
Yep, we'll see where it goes. And that gets us excited for next week's Raw to see how this goes forward and what's going to happen with them. So, all right, well, that's our Raw recap on the Pro Wrestling Sheet. Thank you all so much for watching or for listening to us. Ryan, tell them what they can watch, read, and listen to everything we do.
ProWrestlingSheet.com. That's the website where you can find all the top stories in the world of professional wrestling throughout the week. At Wrestling Sheet on social media. YouTube.com/C/Wrestling Sheet. That's where you can find all of the videos. Subscribe there, like the videos, comment. I reply when I can, but I definitely read all the comments, so keep putting those in there. I appreciate it very much. But if you just want to listen while you're driving or working out, do whatever, check out the audio version of our shows in our podcast feed. Just search Wrestling Sheet Radio on all the biggest podcast platforms.
There you go. Do all of that. You can find him at Ryan Satin. Follow me at The Rocha Says. Tell us what you thought about everything going on in the world of wrestling. We'll be back next week with another episode of Pro Wrestling Sheet's Raw Recap. Take care until then.
ProWrestlingSheet.com